Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Tea Time with Elsa. I'm here with Saavedra, and Saavedra is my very first Mustang I ever got. She is about 21 now. I got her when she was 4 years old. And then that's Zohari. He is my 26-year-old warm blood, and you can sort of see him behind Saavedra. I am on the south end of San Juan Island today. I just had the equine dentist here, and he was taking care of my older horses who are in the field of a good friend of mine that lives a couple of miles away from me. So behind me we have Lonnie, who's 28, we've got Saavedra, who's 21, and we've got Zohari over there, who is 26, I think, maybe 27. It's hard to tell. I lose track. But it's beautiful out here at the south end. You can kind of see over the back there, you've got some water behind me, looking out over towards Orcas. It's a pretty nice pasture these guys get to be in. I can't believe that already a week has gone by. They go by so fast in the spring. The days get so full and there's so much happening. Hi, Saavedra. Do you want to say hi? She's my girl. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about environmental impact on training. So, you can see here in this herd, it's a pretty idealistic location. We are on the south end of the island, which has a little bit more breeze, which means there's fewer flies. Zohari's gonna come over and say, hi, buddy. You gonna come say hi to the camera? He's not sure why I'm sitting in the middle of the field talking. These horses are on the most beautiful sloping pasture with sandy soil. We have a lot of varieties of grass with very little rich grass. So that means there's very little likelihood of anybody foundering. It's pretty idealistic. And, that's why we have our retirement herd out here. Everybody's pretty happy. And even though they're not in work, and Mahara's in work, but she's gone the other side of the hedge over there. She'll be back later. For the most part, this herd is just about living in the most ideal situation horses can live in. And most of us don't have that. Most of us have the situation where we live, which, maybe there's more heat, maybe there's more cold, maybe there's more bugs that we deal with. There's lots of environmental impacts on the horse's life. And I think I would be remiss if I didn't talk about the fact that those will impact your training. So the more idealistic your lifestyle becomes with the horse, the more they're going to volunteer to learn new things because they're not dealing with all of the other stressors that happen naturally. When you live in a situation where, let's say, there's a lot of flies or a lot of bugs that are biting the horses, that is going to take some degree of the horse's focus and attention to manage. They just have to manage their life around the stimulus that's happening in their environment. And that means if they're putting a lot of energy into managing bugs, they're going to have less energy to put into training with you. And that's just the way it is. I don't think that has to be labeled bad or good. I think that you really can take these things as a development of, can I make this better in some way? And then with the degree of attention the horse has left over, after their environment has taken what it needs, what's left over for training? Hi, Zena. I'm glad you could join us for tea time. So, none of these horses in this herd around me are in particular training anymore. Zohari is pretty much retired. He's got some physical issues. He gets to eat grass, hang out with his girlfriends, and we adore him. He doesn't actually have to do a lot of work anymore. Saavedra, who's behind me, she still gets ridden sometimes. She's pretty lovely. She can pretty much rely on all the training she's had in her past. She doesn't have to learn a whole lot of new things. Lonnie here is mostly in retirement as well. She's 28. So, you know, here we are in one of the most ideal horse environments I've ever been in. And we have the horses that don't really need to do any training. Seems a bit of a waste, doesn't it? But I love my retirees. I think that, you know, they've earned it. They've had an incredible life so far. They've given me a ton into my life, and this is the way I give back to them, is by letting them live with my good friend and her amazing piece of property that's so ideal for horses. Now, my property, there's a little less breeze, there's a little more bugs, the grass is a little bit more lush. We have more issues with digestion because the grass is really too lush for a lot of the horses. And those are factors that I'm gonna have to pay attention to. Where my stallions are up at my house, we don't have a lot of grass, and so they can only be out for a certain number of hours each day. Everyone is gonna have these factors to deal with. And the reason I bring it up is because I was thinking a lot about training with tools. So if you have a halter and a lead rope, you can make yourself a bigger priority in the horse's mind than the other things they would like to think about, like the bugs or the heat or the shade. When you have tools, you can make them think about you more than they might voluntarily think about you. And that's just really good common sense things to acknowledge. When I do freedom-based training, I will be limited by the environment that I'm in. And to the degree that the horses are distracted by the things in the environment that concern them, I will have to slow down my training. Now, freedom-based training is already the slowest training method in the world. So if I have environmental distractions for the horse that are concerning to them, and my slow training method gets even slower, it really starts to become about the journey, not the destination. When you think about what you want to do, the fact is with horses, what I want to do with them is I want to enjoy their company to the best degree possible. Means first they need to be safe, they need to be healthy. Once we've gotten the basic safety and the basic health taken care of, then after that, I want to enjoy them to the degree that they voluntarily want to learn and do things with me. My goals with them are much smaller than most people's and also much bigger. So, you know, I joke that anything is possible with horses if you have enough time and they live long enough in a voluntary way. They will volunteer to learn a lot of things because there's a lot of times in the day when they're not concerned about something. And, you know, maybe that means that if the bugs are really bad, maybe I have to go out, you know, after dark to train. Maybe that's when the bugs are less bad. And maybe that's when they have enough attention span to actually develop more skills with me. Now, what I found is the more skills that I build with the horse in times when they are not concerned actually bridges over so that they become more willing and less concerned even when environmental impacts hit them. So what that means is if I can train at night and I can do an effective job of teaching them to be very strong in the way they think and very clear in their focus changes, it means that they will then be able to cope with the flies during the heat of the day better than if I didn't work with them at night. And that is why I do freedom-based training. I may not be able to fix everything in the environment for all horses the way I have with my retirees here. I mean, this is pretty idyllic. When I get a chance to come out here and hang with the old horses, well, I wish I could give this to everybody, but I can't. So what I can give to everybody is to give them all of myself in the ways that I know how, to build their mental strength and their grit, so that the environmental impacts that they deal with, whatever that is, whether it's too much grass or too little grass or too many insects or too much wind, all those environmental impacts might be concerning for a horse. And the stronger and clearer they get mentally, the more they can handle those concerns and have a really good life in spite of them. And that's what I do. That's what I love to do. So those are my thoughts for today. Thank you guys for joining me. There will always be environmental impacts. You know, very, very few of us have a perfectly idyllic place to live with our horses. So we take wherever they are, and I encourage people to work at the best times of day and pour the energy in the calmest moments, and then see how that develops the horse's grit and ability to manage whatever impacts hit them through the rest of their environmental experience. Just because there are things in life that concern horses doesn't mean they will always be concerned by those things, or to some degree they will be able to manage that concern so that it is less impactful for them. If I can get better and better at doing that, I think I'm doing my job right. So I'm going to go keep studying, and that's hello from Zohari behind me, and Saavedra, my 21-year-old Mustang, and Lonnie, who's tucked in behind her, the same color. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and whatever your environmental impacts are, just keep showing up and helping your horses learn how to change focus and think and process, and it's amazing what they can learn to live with really well. And I see I have a few comments here before I go. Joanna says, really great thoughts, Elsa. We have to compromise and think outside the box, maybe, like at night. Yeah, absolutely. I worked in the hail today. Natalie loved my movement, so she did not move by herself, just the stress was high. Interesting, Zena. You know, I think these environmental impacts are good puzzles for our brain. And, you know, we just show up, do what we can do, brainstorm how we can help the horse better at other times of day so that when it hails again, they're even more prepared. So have a wonderful day, you guys, and I will see you next week. This is our 91st tea time, so I'll be here next week for episode number 9.